Today I will be discussing the book, Everybody Lies, Big Data, New Data, and What the Internet Can Tell Us About Who We Really Are by Mr. Seth Stevens Davidovitz. In this book, we are given many examples regarding the truths about people. What I mean by this is that people may believe they are one way, but their words and their actions may paint them in a different manner. His book explains that the internet is filled with a variety of data regarding the searches that people do on the internet. According to Simon Rogers, Google Trends is one of the largest data sets in the world that gives you its results anonymously and in real time. This is the resource that Mr. Stephen Davidovitz uses for the majority of his book. In his book, he discusses that people have been more honest with Google than they have been with themselves or their best friends. As I mentioned before, this is what drives the belief that the internet knows who you are better than you do. Everybody Lies discusses many topics that are searched on the internet, from educational things to political things to some mischievous things. World events can drive those searches and the topics that are searched. Bianca Bosker wrote an article for the HuffPost that discusses how people are beginning to befriend Google more and more every day. Google introduced an artificial intelligence digital assistant a few years ago, which made it even easier for people to talk openly with the internet, especially Google. When I first read this, I wondered if this was just something that Mr. Stevens Davidovitz was talking about to try to drive a book sale. But the more and more that I read, I realized that people truly are more confident in the searches that they do nowadays because they're not having to discuss this with a live person. They are just putting it on the internet and they believe that no one will ever know about it, especially after they delete their search history. So Mr. Stephen Davidovitz discusses that that is not completely true. Although Google Trends does have your search history, it never says who is searching what. Mr. Danny Page also discussed that many times people show a small increase in searches and all of a sudden that becomes a massive story. This reminds me of when people, especially children, say that everyone is doing something, but when you go out and find out, it's only one or two people doing something new. That lies where you can run into problems with this data. Mr. Seth Stephen Davidovitz does warn us that this data must be handled with care. The government and big corporations have been using data from the internet to drive their own agendas. People have to be more proactive and research if this information is truly accurate and not just go off of word of mouth. I do believe that people use the data that's out there in a positive way, but there are people that will use it incorrectly, and people just have to do their due diligence and see that this data is being used appropriately or not. I am amazed that people will ask Google some of the things that they do, but I can see that more and more Google is becoming a person's confidant because there is no retaliation, there is no judging, and in today's world, that's all that people are looking for, is a safe zone to just ask what they really want to know. I don't see that this is going to change anytime soon, and I just see that it's going to get worse and worse, and our human interactions may get worse and worse. I hope that that changes, but I don't see that happening, especially not anytime in the near future. Thank you.